Welcome to FitHer Forward, where strong women share real stories, expert insight, and bold truths about health, fitness, and living fully, because your journey matters. Now, let's get to it today. We have Emily Taft with us. We are going to talk running today. But as always, we talk about running in life and all kinds of things that are important to us. So you're balancing a lot on your plate these days. Tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here. I am really focusing on building my run coaching business. So I started coaching a couple years ago, and I was a teacher at the time, and I taught middle school for about 12 years. And I was feeling pretty burnt out the last couple of years, and I made a big decision to leave my teaching job, and I am now all in on my coaching business. So that has been a very big change for me, but I am so excited. So I've been building my website, getting certifications, diving in, learning as much as I can, working with my athletes, of course. And then I'm also balancing my own training. I try to train at a pretty high level. I actually had to kind of take a step back this winter. I got my first real running injury. I had a hamstring injury. So I had to back off from running and switch over and do a lot of cross training, but I am back at it now, working out again. So
I think that's actually, sometimes when you're doing the coaching, it's good in a sense to have those, because then you understand and you also can prove the value. You know what? When you cross train, you don't lose anything.
Absolutely,
And I love aqua jogging as a cross training, for running.
Yeah.
And I have had worked with people who've done aqua jogging only because of whatever the injury was. And when they've been able to get back into running, their times are right there.
Exactly.
Which is really great, right? And I think a lot of times people think, oh, if I can't do that, then I'm done.
Right.
It's over.
Right. But there's so many forms of cross training. I actually did a lot of biking. I have my bike set up in the basement with a bike trainer. And to be honest, I did lose a little bit of running fitness, but not nearly as much as
you would think.
Thought. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. But yes, I think that was a silver lining for sure. For me going through that, that was my first real running injury that I've had in 10 or 11 years.
Which is awesome.
Which
so
is
it says
so
you're doing
awesome.
Good things.
Yeah. But then that has helped me relate to my athletes that I coach that are going through injuries or setbacks. Now I'm like, okay, I can understand what they're dealing with, and really try to help them, not only physically, but mentally, because it takes a toll mentally.
And the mental piece is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
You have not always been a runner. What were your sports prior? What's your path to getting into running?
Yeah, I was not much of a runner growing up. Well, I should clarify. I was not on the track team or the cross country team. I bounced around a lot of different sports. Volleyball ended up being my main sport, but I was an average athlete. I was not excelling at anything. But I got into running mostly because of my dad. My dad would train for 5Ks and 10Ks. And I think I was in maybe 7th or 8th grade when I went to my first 5K, and I made it to the finish line, and I was like, oh, that was kind of fun. And so I kind of joke about it now. I kind of called myself the weird volleyball player on the team, because I looked forward to when we would run in practice. Every now and then our coach would have us go run a mile. And I was like, oh, I like this. This feels good. So I started to run in high school just on my own. I would go for a 2-mile run, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then I kept doing that in college too. It was little bits here and there. I just always enjoyed it. It was physically, it felt good, but also for me, a huge part was the mental part. I felt like it balanced me out. I even remember a time in high school, I got into a fight with my boyfriend at the time, and I wanted to go for a run. That was
your release.
Yeah. And then on good days too, on my birthday, I was like, oh, it's my birthday. I want to go for a run.
See, that's awesome. Yeah. I think that's interesting too, that just, you did play other sports, you did other sports, but didn't feel that the mental clarity, that you got from the running.
Exactly.
And I do think it's hard in the sports that are start and stop. right? The really great thing about that is that team feel, right? And you're part of a team but I think you like not having that like continuous aerobic effort.
Exactly.
That's a different feel.
Yes.
And I think so many people are afraid of that. They're afraid of running.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get people past that?
I know. I think a lot of people have this kind of mindset that running is hard and that every day, they see runners, maybe if they're not a runner, they haven't done it in a while, they think that people are going out there and pushing themselves to the limit every day and like, oh, you're going to be sweaty and tired at the end of every single run. When the reality is you shouldn't be doing that every day. There is a way to enjoy it. You don't have to worry about what your pace is or what your distance is. Like, you can just go out there and enjoy it and be outside and feel the sunshine.
It's important to do that too. Like, it's important to do that stuff where you are just having fun and you just are enjoying it, not feeling like, oh, I have to. And from a training standpoint, you don't want to be at that place every time.
Right.
It is. It's always one of our challenges, like with the Run for Women, is, we want all those new women coming. And I don't just want them coming and doing the 5K and stopping. I want them to continue with it. And so I think a lot of times there'll be plenty of people who show up on race day and they do 3.1 miles, but they haven't gotten ready for it. And then they're sore and don't feel good afterwards, a couple days after, because they weren't really prepared to do it. So it's like, getting those people in that routine so that then it becomes a way of life and, you continue on with it. So you ended up finding great success with running. Like, when did you really go like, oh, I'm kind of good?
It definitely took me a little bit of time to get there. But it was a gradual process for me. So I remember when I was in college, I would, again, occasionally go for like a 2 or a 3 mile run here and there. And then a friend of mine was training for the Stockade-a-thon, 15K. And I was like, you know what? Sure, why not? So my junior year of college, I ran Stockade-a-thon, my first ever 15K. I had never run that far. I did not train very well for it. So it was, again, for me, it was just getting to the finish line. And then, I did, and it was so challenging for me, but I was like, I did it, I made it to the finish line. At that time, I didn't think I could run 9 miles. And so then that kind of ignited a little fire. I was like, well, maybe I can do a half marathon. So then again, very similar situation. I trained a little bit more for the half, but still very inexperienced. Ran my first half marathon at 24. And then I'm like, well, let's do a marathon. Right? Let's keep going.
It seems like that's what you should do.
So then at 25, I ran my first marathon. And this whole time, I really wasn't following like a strict training plan or anything. So I kind of did it the hard way.
Well, I think that's a lot of people. That's how I did my first. I just went out for runs.
You just go for it, right?
I mean, and I had come from a swimming background where you had intervals for every workout. I did not translate that directly to running. Like, oh, I should be doing that. I would just go out for a run.
I had no idea.
For another run, and then go out for another run. Always run the same pace, and then wonder why if I did a race, I wasn't getting in faster. Like, really?
I had no idea at the time that intervals was even like a thing. I just went out for runs.
Exactly.
But after I ran my first marathon, that was when I was like, okay, I think I want to actually figure this out now. I was clearly enjoying it, but I saw all these people ahead of me, running faster but stronger. I think I was kind of floundering just to get to the finish line. And I'm like, well, I want to do this and I want to feel good about it. I want to feel strong. Well, let's see if I can get faster. So that was kind of a big turning point for me. I then, looked into training plans and actually figured out like, okay, I can have some structure here and have those harder days and mix in those speed work intervals and, started working with a coach a little bit too. And that opened up my eyes to like this whole new world of running. I'm like, oh, it can be a lot more.
But you were teaching the whole time you were doing that, right?
I was. Yeah. Although quick story. I was supposed to run my first marathon my first year of teaching. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. I was like, I'll do it. I did not run the marathon that year.
Yeah.
I ended up, luckily, I could defer it to the following year.
Which marathon was your first?
Mohawk Hudson.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great race. Nice and local. Yeah. But yes, I did have to push it back a year because my first year teaching was a lot of stress.
Yes.
And that's not a great time to train for your first marathon.
No, but again, great experience for you to have as a coach, right? Because then you can say to people like, okay, let's not do this right now.
Exactly.
You know, you've got enough other stressors going on in your life that we need to keep it at bay.
Yes, yeah. And that's huge. And I don't think people necessarily realize that all of those other life stressors that you have, that can affect your training. So if you are going to train for a big race like a marathon, you want to make sure that it's at an appropriate time in your life when you're not overwhelmed with all of these other factors.
Well, and I think, that is a huge piece. And then the other piece is like, how will it fit in? Like, and I always feel like I get frustrated, and more so in triathlon it happens than necessarily running. But when people, like, they change their entire life to train for an event.
Right.
And then that's not sustainable.
No, yeah.
So, I mean, we want this, like, you do a marathon, sure, then you switch back and you do a half, or you do a bunch of 5Ks, or you do, and then maybe another marathon. Like, these people are like, I have to do a marathon every month. Like, what? Like,
that's in my opinion, that's
and I think, again, that's the value of a coach, right?
Exactly.
It's somebody who can add that perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't have to feel that way either. Like, you don't have to devote 100% of your life to training. Like, there is a way to still have a life and make it work. Yeah.
So you started the coaching business. What do you love best about it? What?
Oh my gosh. So many things. I think my favorite thing about coaching is definitely really getting to know my athletes. Because it's so much more than just, here, go do this workout, right?
Right.
I think I love finding that perfect level for my athlete where I want them to feel challenged, but I want them to still enjoy it. And I don't want it to be overwhelming. So that's something I really enjoy. So I was a math teacher. I love problem solving, right? So like, to me, that's kind of where I'm at now with my athletes. I'm like, okay, let me look at where your current fitness is. Let's look at what your goals are. And I want to find that perfect, I call it that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where they're being challenged.
Yep.
But it's doable and they feel good about it and they're still enjoying it too. And I love connecting with them and figuring out, why are you running? Why are you training for this? And helping them to kind of keep that in perspective too, so that they, have that little motivation. I think it's really important to connect on that level.
Especially the longer you go.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, if you're running a marathon, you better have a why.
Exactly.
Yes. Because it's a long way to go without a why.
Yes. Yeah. And you want to have that ready at, mile 18.
Exactly.
You're going to want to know, okay, why am I doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do my quads hurt right now?
Yeah. Do you ever have you had anybody that you've just been like, I am terrible at following plans. And like, you've been like, oh my gosh, this person is not easy to work with.
Honestly, no.
Oh, good. You can have me then.
Not really. Well, because I think when that happens, that's a sign that the plan isn't a good plan for them. Right? So maybe I've experienced that a little bit, but I don't think of that as like, oh, they're not following the plan. To me, that's, hey, let's chat about what's going on right now. And let's rework things. Maybe we need to step back a little bit and maybe we need to take a day off of your plan, right? If you have a lot going on or whatever it is. I think it leads to a conversation that can be really valuable and we can figure out, how to come up with a plan that will work better.
I will tell you that's a very, very good answer because I just having conversations with my son who's coaching at the collegiate level now. And he mentioned, and I'll call him out on it, Coach Dan Moore from Geneseo. And Jack said whenever there was an issue and it was kind of a team-wide or a group, like a distance training group, and they didn't perform well at a meet, Dan's first thing was, okay, what am I doing wrong? Not about the athletes.
Yep.
About what is it in this plan that is not working.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that most coaches don't do.
Yeah.
Right? They look at the athlete and say, well, the athlete didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't do the workout that I said they should do, or they didn't do the workout exactly the way I said they should do it.
Right.
Instead of saying, well, wait a second, as you just did, maybe this is more about I'm not giving that athlete the right thing.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
kudos to you.
Yeah.
You just like, woo! A++ answer.
Well, I think part
it is
of
because
that,
we've been dealing with it, and we've been just chatting about it. And I see that a lot in that, a lot of time, too many people will say it's the athlete that's not doing it. And I do think that it is a lot of times you got to look back. And if it's one athlete that's not doing well, okay, then let's have that conversation with that particular athlete about it. But if it's like a group that's all not. So even with you doing it with one individual, I think that's a unique perspective. And you need to make sure you put that on your website.
I will,
the way that you work. No, I do, because I think that's super important, right? And and that goes back to that understanding of that athlete. And that takes a little time to get to know people.
Oh, yeah. It's a process for sure.
So when you're working with people, are you kind of working with people? I know you guys have a program that you're working on right now. I'm assuming you'll probably do it again in the future that's more 5K focused.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular focus of distances that you like working with?
And really anything from the 5K up to the marathon.
Okay, I would encourage you to include the mile, because there is a mile series in 2026. And it's so funny to me because people are so afraid of running a mile.
I know. Well, if you're doing it correctly, it hurts the whole time, right?
But anything will hurt the whole time. I mean, it's a lot less hurting than a 26.2.
It's so fun though. Yes. Yeah.
I do. I find it really interesting. Like people, and I also think in your own journey, you went from shorter runs to a 15K to a half marathon to a marathon.
Yeah.
I would imagine that you're seeing what I see a lot in people is I'm going to do a half marathon first, or I'm going to do a marathon first. And I'm just going to jump right into it and go gung-ho.
Yeah.
And I see that in triathlon all the time. Like, I just want to do an Ironman first. I haven't done a triathlon. I don't care. I'm doing Ironman.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. I do think there is kind of this big emphasis on the marathon right now too. Yes. I think with social media, there's, a lot of influencers that are running marathons.
Yes.
And that's awesome. And if you want to do that, that's great. But a big reminder to everybody that you don't have to run a marathon to be a runner.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily think that. They think, I have to run a marathon. Or I've even had conversations with people that they're like, oh, you're a runner, so what's your marathon time? Yeah. Like, that's the go-to question.
Or have you done Boston?
Right.
Like, it's always,
There are professional runners that have not run a marathon and that will never run a marathon, and that's perfectly fine.
And I love hearing them talk about stuff like that, right? The 1,500 runners are like, I would never do that.
Right.
Although I do also think now, it used to be you would be a marathoner, or you were a 5K runner, or you were a sprint. And now you see these people going from the 1,500 to the marathon and being good across.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of fun too, right? Is to say, hey, you're a good 5K runner. Maybe think about a different distance, because you could be as good.
Oh, absolutely.
As long as you want to do it.
Exactly. I was going to say, I think the key thing is you have to want to do that, though.
Right.
And if someone's just telling you should run a marathon, that's probably not the best way to start it. It has to be something that you really want to do yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but if you don't want to run a marathon and maybe you want to focus on the 5K, then that's perfectly fine. And you can totally do that. And you're still a runner, and it still counts.
And I love, and of course, with Run for Women, I'm biased towards 5Ks. But I do think that's awesome because it is less training than going longer, right?
Yep.
And you can do a bunch of them over the course of the year.
Exactly.
And so you're not like having to train a lot and then having to recover longer, coming off of it. And to be able to go do something else. Yeah. Which is kind of
that's
nice.
I personally, for my training, I love to balance it where I think my favorite way to kind of balance everything is to do a marathon in the fall. And then in the spring, I love focusing on the 5Ks, the mile distance even. It keeps it fun that way to kind of go back and forth between the distances. Yeah. And it's all beneficial too. If you can work on your speed for the 5K, that's going to help you when you run the marathon too.
And I think even I've noticed this at the high school level, like coaches want to put kids in buckets already. And it's like, oh my gosh, no, like they're young. Let them go run a 400 and see how fast can they possibly go.
Exactly,
Like, not just the 32.
Yeah,
or,
try
so
all the events. Yeah.
I do. And I think that's, and as adults, like what a great way, right? And especially for people who maybe are a little older, if you go run a new distance, it's an automatic PR.
Exactly.
Which is very nice. Like we should make up tons of weird distance races now.
Yeah.
What are you gearing up for personally these days?
So I'm coming off of my injury. But I am running consistently now, getting back into workouts. So I am training for the Chicago Marathon in the fall. Yeah, but this spring I'm hoping to hopefully run for women.
Yes.
I mean, that is one of my favorite 5Ks to do.
Yes.
So I think I'm going to be healthy enough to hop in that race.
So what do you think, as a runner, is unique and different about the Run for Women?
Oh my gosh. I think it's so empowering because you just have women of all walks of life, all ages, all abilities, and everybody's showing up and we're all running or walking the same course. And I think it's so cool to have that experience where there are professional runners on the starting line, right? Doing the same exact event at the same time. Like, how many other sports have that? I don't think any of them do.
You can't, could you get on the ice with the Bruins and the Sabres in the playoffs right now?
Exactly, right?
No.
Yeah.
But can you get on the road?
Yep.
And race with, Olympians?
Yeah.
That's what's super cool,
it's an unreal experience. Yeah. And I have great memories of, I tend to be towards the front of the pack at the race. And so there's that overlap, right? So the first mile and then the third mile overlap. And so I'll be coming back, heading towards the finish.
And you get to see everybody.
And I get to see some of the women.
And
they are cheering.
I know.
And it's amazing. And I try my best. I'm pretty out of breath, but I'm trying to give them a thumbs up and wave. And then it's so cool because then I'll go out for a cool down afterwards. And I get to cheer them on as they're finishing. And they're waving back. And it's just the coolest experience having that, it doesn't matter what pace you run. We're all cheering for each other. We're all supporting each other. Yeah. Even with some of the competitive women that, I'm racing against in that moment, as soon as we cross the finish line, we're thanking each other and say, oh my gosh, you pushed me.
And the hugs. I saw you.
Hugging, high-fiving. That's the cool thing.
It is a very different atmosphere, and it's so hard to describe that to
exactly,
people.
Yeah. And you have that competitiveness in the moment, but then it's you cross that finish line and it's just this camaraderie, right? So, So
it's interesting now, the running boom is going on, but I don't know that we've really fully seen it in this area from a racing standpoint, from a participating and going to, 5Ks, whatever, 10Ks, half marathons.
Yeah.
So how do we get more women doing exactly what you did? So maybe doing other sports, having done some running, but a mile, 2 miles, I don't know if I want to do a 5K, right? Into this.
Yeah. I think a big part is finding a running group that you can join, which there are a ton now in the area. I know there's a lot of clubs and groups out there that have regular runs. That was a big part of my journey. I found a running club that they welcomed me, and I was a little scared at first. I think it's very normal to feel a little intimidated, but the hardest part is just showing up. And once you're there, I promise you, runners are welcoming people. They're going to welcome you in. And don't put too much pressure on yourself either. I think sometimes beginner runners think, oh, I have to be able to run 3 miles without stopping and hit this certain pace. And you have to remember, everybody starts somewhere.
Right.
Everybody does. Yeah. I cannot believe the times that I'm running now. If I were to, look back 10 years ago, I would have been there's no way I'm ever going to do that. Right? Yeah. Everybody starts from somewhere. So.
Oh, I tell that all the time. My boys, when they first started, each of them first started running cross country, I'm looking at the woods going, okay, when are you coming? And then one ran D1. The other ones ran at Geneseo, at the top D3, program in the country, and is now coaching himself.
Yeah.
The where you can go, that's up to you.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But you're right. Everybody has to start someplace. So why not start?
Yeah. And then
see where you can go.
And that's the hardest thing to do, is to just start. So just show up. And once you've shown up once, it's going to be a little bit easier to show up again. And I think if you have a group of people that you can connect with and socialize with. I mean, I have made some amazing friends through running.
Also, I think that's something else that a lot of people that don't run don't understand is how well you get to know people that you work with, right?
Yep.
And the things that you share.
Yeah,
so not
absolutely.
only is it like a great way to build community and have that in your life, but I also look at it as it's so great because you can learn a lot of things.
Yes.
Like if you're dealing with a health issue or you're got a challenge with your kids at school, imagine running with a math teacher.
Right.
You would learn like, oh, I shouldn't, or I should ask this question, or
exactly.
all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. And runners love to talk about all of those things too. So it's totally okay if you do have questions and you're like, hey, I'm not really sure what I'm doing.
Right.
Runners love to talk about running.
Yes.
Anything related to running.
So that kind of goes back to, though, a little bit about now we have this, we're in this world of influencers and, everybody's out there running and has their advice. As a coach who's actually been educated to coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit of a challenge.
It is.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm sure you see what I see and like, excuse me, that's not an appropriate workout to be doing.
Right.
So how do we get people to understand that coaching is not an elitist thing?
Right.
You don't have to be a sub 25K.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not.
Want it, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys? How do you position that?
I think coaching is really for anybody that wants to take your running, your training kind of to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ready to commit to, having some type of a plan for at least a few months, and you're going to be open about communicating with your coach, it's for anybody, regardless of your pace or what distance you're training for. And having a coach can be valuable because that coach is going to help you figure out the right amount to push.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be doing all these flashy workouts that you might see online. Maybe at some point, maybe you can work up to trying some of them. But if you're doing that too soon and your body's not ready for it, it's not going to feel good and you could even get injured. There's too many risks. So having a coach is great because it's going to help you find that perfect level of training for what you need.
What's like a favorite success story that you have?
Oh my gosh. There's so many that come to mind. Very recently, I did help an athlete run her first ever half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was somebody that when she started working with me, she wasn't sure if she could even do it. It was one of those, she's like, I don't know. She saw the course cut off. She's like, I just don't know if I can do it. And then, of course, she was well under the course cutoff, and she said she felt strong and she felt great. So that's a cool one. But I've also had people that I've helped, hit PRs that they're like, well, I've never, imagined I could do that. And yeah.
So I think I agree. And that goes back, like my coaching motto is do, believe, achieve. And I think that's probably a big piece of what you're doing is you're getting them to believe in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're giving them workouts, challenge them physically, but then it's that whole other side of like,
yes,
you got to believe in yourself.
Yes. Oh yeah. The mental part of it is huge for sure. Yeah.
What pieces of your teaching background do you use in coaching?
Oh, that's a great question.
I know, I just made it up.
I think a lot of it does carry over, with teaching. It was the same thing about you have to connect with your students and figure out, okay, what makes them tick and how can I get them to learn math? Like, especially for the kids that don't like math or they think that they're bad at math, right? It's kind of figuring out, okay, how can I connect with them and how can I help them realize that you can do this, right? So very similar with coaching, it's connecting with the athletes and helping them figure out, you are capable of it. Like maybe we need to kind of tweak things, but you are capable of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So just forming those connections, I think that's a huge piece of both teaching and coaching, really. Yeah.
So like what is like, I mean, a lot of times when you get into the coaching stuff, it's like there's areas that you're like, oh, I want to go research this more and figure out like, how do I pull that in? What's your current hook that you're like, I want to learn more about
there's
this.
so much. I feel like I'm at the point where I am the more that I learn, the more I realize there is to learn. So right now I am actually in the middle of a strength and conditioning certification that's specifically for runners. I think that's huge. Strength training is super beneficial for runners. So I'm diving into that. I'm also really, really interested in like mindset and like the psychology of a runner and what are some of the mental strategies that we can use. So I would love to learn more about that. Nutrition too. I mean, there's many.
And that's the thing that's super cool is there's so many different aspects, right, that you do.
Yeah.
I actually did a mindset certification, and because I had this thing of like, I don't have high anxiety around racing. I just think I'm going to survive anything. So throw it at me and I'll do it. But I think that comes from sailing and being in the middle of Long Island Sound in storms where it was like, you either get to shore or you die. So what are you going to do? Well, I vote go to shore. Right? Like, so I had to work through a lot of that kind of stuff and like, okay, I can manage this. I can control what I can control and I can get there.
Yeah.
But teaching other people is like, you can't really put them in the middle of Long Island Sound anymore. Like that would be frowned upon.
Yeah.
So that whole mental piece is huge.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's like any of this, and that's what I think is always cool about athletics is it translates into life.
It does. Like,
it's only going to help people.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? And that's been a huge thing in my own running journey. I think that's part of the reason I stuck with running, and part of the reason I've gotten faster and all of that is because I've realized it has given me so much confidence, and it just makes me feel more like myself, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And that's where I would love to help other people experience that. I think if we had more runners in the world, I think the world would be a better place. I'm gonna put it out there.
I mean, you do. You go to the big events.
Yeah.
And you see every kind of person.
Yep.
And everyone is there for a different reason.
Yeah.
But for everyone, it is a battle.
Exactly.
I don't care. Your first place, like whatever. John Career last year fell at the beginning of the Boston Marathon and still won and wins again.
Yep.
But you're late. Like it's not easy for anyone.
Right.
So, but it's so cool to see, and then see the support and the humanity working together.
Exactly.
Like, there's such power in that.
Yes.
So really, everyone should be running.
Yeah.
You can do a walk, and we won't be like Nike and tell you not to walk.
Oh my gosh. Walk. Totally okay. You can take walk breaks and still be a runner. Yes.
I mean, and I love it. I was just watching an Ironman event, and Taylor Knibb, she had to walk.
Yeah.
She still came in second, a crazy fast time.
Exactly.
But she walked part of the marathon.
Yeah.
Like, so it's okay.
It is okay.
We all can do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else you want to talk about from the coaching standpoint?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love coaching, and I am accepting new athletes if anyone is interested in looking for a running coach.
How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I have a website. It's goldenruns.com. I am on Instagram. I'm at emtaft.runs on Instagram. I have a Facebook page for Golden Runs. So lots of ways to get in touch with me.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. We always finish out with what we call final kick. So it's just a couple questions.
Okay. I'm ready.
Your favorite post-workout snack?
I am someone that's not super hungry right away. So my go-to is a smoothie of some sort with protein, because I know we need protein and carbs. So usually I do that. But then later in the day is when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And so honestly, after like a big race, it's a burger and a beer. Like that's my dinner later in the day.
Protein and carbs.
Yep, exactly.
That works. I know. For my son, he ran Boston, and he was not feeling as great because he couldn't do all the training he wanted or should have done before. And he was just like, I should be out having a beer right now, but I don't feel like it. And I was like, well, the beer can come another day. That's all right. But yes. Yeah. So again, coaching gets you to the finish line so you can have that beer after.
Yeah.
Your favorite way to recover?
Oh, I love to just chill and like watch some Netflix, read a good book, put my feet up on the couch after a long run.
Love it.
Active recovery though, I will say, because a little bit of movement is actually good. So I love to go for a long walk with my dog. I have a golden retriever.
Oh.
Yeah. And so we'll go for long walks, and like sometimes I'll take a nice long hike, like not anything challenging, but just very relaxing.
Well, and I always say, they always make you walk so far after marathons.
Oh yeah. But especially the majors. It actually, you feel better the next day. Yeah. So there is value in just continuing to move, not at the same pace, but continuing to move. Yeah. So nice casual walk.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And then your favorite workout or your favorite place to work out?
Oh, okay. I have kind of a double answer.
Okay.
Which I think my favorite workout, this is crazy for me to say, but I'm going to say like a long run workout, because I used to be scared of those. Yeah. But I've overcome that. So a good long run workout with some marathon pace work. It's just, you feel so accomplished when you get that done. And then a place. I have to mention Acadia National Park in Maine. It is beautiful. They have these carriage paths, which are like crushed stone. It's gorgeous. It's right on the ocean. That's got to be my favorite place. I help out with timing the MDI marathon there.
Oh, okay.
So I get to go every fall, and it's beautiful, and I always do a long run workout
I do
there.
think we're going long again, but the whole runcation concept.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so we did Trail Fest last year, and it was out in Zion and Bryce Canyons, and oh my gosh, how fun.
Yeah.
So, but to be able to do that and be in remote places, in those parks that you can't normally go.
Yeah.
You got to be able to run to get there.
Exactly.
Right? Or really, hike and walk well. So
yeah,
running is good because it can get you some really cool places.
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure. I've done a lot of vacations too, where I mix running in, and it's so fun.
It's
and you get to see more too.
Yeah, you see so much more. Even when you go on vacation and go for a run.
Exactly.
I have all new ideas about plogging on vacations and going and cleaning up islands.
I love that idea.
I know. Let's go.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. We got all kinds of new plans off of all of this, but thank you so much for being here. It was just awesome chatting with you. And what you do next matters most. So let's all go out there and get fitter.